Everybody, welcome back to my podcast. We're going to keep talking about our experience. We just finished off talking about how Americans are they can pick Americans out of a crowd. And you don't even have to do anything. They just know.
Yes.
Besides, we also were tourists and students, so there was that aspect too.
We were traveling in groups and dressing in crazy colors.
Yes, we were. Yeah. And some of us had fanny packs.
100%.
Backpacks.
My jacket, my rain jacket was pink camouflage and some of the parts in it are metallic pink. So 100%.
Yep. They were like American.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we left off. And then next after Munich, we went to Vienna.
Yes.
Vienna was where the Ferris wheel was, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you end up going to that?
I did not. That was the day that I was like, all right, everybody, please leave me alone.
Yep.
I'm going to sit here and cry and eat some food.
Yep.
And maybe go to bed early. I didn't end up going to bed early, which was awful. But
I always say that. Like, I'm going to go to bed early. And then
you never did.
And then you never do. Yeah. So that was one thing that I did go on that I was grateful for. But this episode's title is going to be JOMO. Hannah, do you want to explain JOMO for our listeners?
So JOMO is like the counter option of FOMO. And so JOMO is the joy of missing out.
The fear of missing out.
And so Kyra and I, when we were talking about what we were going to do for this podcast, we just kind of discussed that, sometimes it's okay to just be a hermit and have time for yourself and miss out on cool opportunities, because if you don't, you'll quite literally break. So.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. I literally said to Hannah, I said, if I could go back and do that 2 weeks again, I wouldn't, but...
Oh, I would. So there's a difference within
us.
I'd do it again.
Okay.
100%.
I wouldn't, but also I wouldn't do anything that I did differently. As in the times that I took off, I would still take off. I was still tired. Looking back, I'm not like, oh my gosh, why didn't I go to the Palace of Versailles? Or why didn't I go to do this? I don't really have those feelings. I'm okay.
That's fair.
I'm like, I'm okay. I will say that the one thing that I'm like, oh, Kyra, I kind of wish you did that, was go visit Big Ben.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, looking back, I was so tired that I'm not mad at myself. I'm not like, Kyra, why didn't you do that? It was more like, you could have.
Yeah, I have some really cool pictures of me on Big Ben if you would like to look through them.
That would be cool.
But also, speaking of the joy of missing out, if you want to travel to London, don't plan for more than a day, because literally, you go to London and here it is. On the same street, you have the London Eye, Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, and then a quarter mile down the road, that's where the king lives. That is London. That is all you need to see. Other than that city is not that impressive. I was truly, truly disappointed in London, and I thought it was very underwhelming, in my personal opinion, but I know others that, loved London. But if I was presented the opportunity of, oh, do you want to go to London again? I would think about it, probably end up saying yes, but it's not something that's
probably end up saying yes.
Yeah,
but...
I do love being in Europe. I think it's really awesome and everybody needs to go. But it's not a hard yes, I need to get here again as soon as possible, like Paris and Prague are for me. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd even get to Germany or Austria before I went back to London, and I did not like Germany, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One thing that I do feel like I really, really wish I did, but it was too late, was to go to the Harry Potter thing in London.
Yeah, I also did that.
One of my roommates ended up going to that, and she loved it.
It was so cool.
And I wish that I had done that, but you had to have reservations, and you had to do this and this and this, and I didn't.
It was also pretty pricey.
Yeah, I didn't plan in advance for that, so I was like, oh, whatever. And I ended up staying home and sleeping and going to the Amazon store, which... Did you know there's this place that it's an Amazon store, and you walk in and you scan your QR code of your Amazon account. You can have an American account, and then you just have to log into a UK one, even though it's your American account. Anyway, so you scan a QR code, you go in, you shop, you take things, and you leave. You don't check out.
That's
There's no such thing as checking
out. It
out.
just charges it to your Amazon account.
There's cameras, there's sensors, I don't know.
I think I've heard of that before.
And they just know what you take. And I was like confused because I literally put so many things in my cart and then took them out because I had this whole like, do I really need that? Do I really need that? And the other thing too is I saw Smart Water and was so excited.
Yes.
Because I was like, water and water that I like. And then I started putting that water in my cart or my little basket. It wasn't a cart, it was a basket. So that's the other thing. Is like in America, you can't just like put 800 things in there.
Yeah.
Because you have a basket, so you're carrying it. Yeah. Anyway, so I started putting water in, and then I found bigger water bottles. Yes. So I took the smaller ones out. And I started putting,
of course you did. Good girl.
And I started putting the bigger ones in. So I put things in and out of my cart a few different times. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, how are they going to know? Like I took stuff out and then I put it in and then I took stuff out. So how are they going to know? You grab stuff and you leave. That's it.
That's crazy.
It's so weird to me.
And then what was the results on your Amazon account when you got back?
Yeah, so I got an email back or whatever and it had exactly what I had grabbed.
That's crazy.
With a little picture of each item. And I was like, how did they do that? I don't know.
That's insane.
Like, do they pay someone to just, like, watch these cameras?
Just to stalk you the entire time.
Like, to watch this person to flip through. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. And then I did, like, walk into this other portion. There was a girl there, and I was, like, confused and kind of, like, looking throughout the store. Mm-hmm. And she was like, do you have your ID? And I was like, why? And she was like, there's alcohol. I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm like, I don't need this part, actually. I was just looking around. Oh, anyway, so yeah, then I left. I'm pretty sure that was in Paris, though that could have been in London.
Store. I think that speaking of, this is such a random tangent, but I think there's one of those in Vegas. So maybe we should go sometime, just for
kicks and giggles. Yeah. It's so weird, though. You just walk in, you scan your code with a QR code, and then you go in, you shop, and you leave. And it's like, what? Anyway.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. Actually, would I do things differently? I think I would spend more money trying to feed myself.
There you go.
Because I'm such a saver, and I'm like, do I really need that? Do I really need that? So I wouldn't buy. So I wouldn't buy things.
Sustaining yourself, or walking 24 miles a day. Absolutely.
Right, and so a lot of times I didn't. I didn't buy little snacks. I didn't buy little treats because I was like, I don't really need that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So, like, I lost weight during the trip because we were walking so much.
I'm sure I did, too.
There were pants that I had that were, like, just the right. I didn't need a belt with them when going on the trip. And then by the end of the trip, I needed a belt with them. And that's how I know I lost weight. I didn't actually track it or anything. I just like, all right.
Yep.
Pants difference here.
Maybe that's that's the key to losing weight.
I know.
You just go to Europe and you just
go like crazy.
Go. Be dehydrated, be hungry, and you'll be fine.
Because I spent most of my time with the group that, like, we did just go. That was our group.
Yeah, and I was with that group for Prague. And then after Prague, I said, nope, can't do this anymore.
Yeah, see, and we kind of met up with them towards the end of Prague. And then, because it was me, Brooklyn, and Ashlyn who added into their group. And we were definitely with them throughout the whole group, the rest of the trip. But I also bounced around between like 2 or 3 groups. So
yeah, I did that too. I bounced around, which I was kind of concerned with. I'm like, are they going to think I'm like, I don't know, a bad person or something, or like two-faced? I'm like not staying with the group. I don't know. There definitely became little groups.
Oh, absolutely.
And that makes sense, of course. So anyway, yeah. And it's not that I didn't like everyone, because I did. I was just tired.
Honestly, my whole thing is I went with whoever was leaving at the point where I was, so I went without cell service on the trip. And so I was...
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was pretty much at the mercy of anyone who had cell service. Oh. Because I was so excited and so exhausted towards the end of the semester. Listen, the semester before I took stats with Lynn White, and it was the bane of my existence.
Right, I understand.
I did not love that class. So I was so excited to just leave my phone and be like, I'm not going to get any notifications. I'm going to go see cool stuff. I'm purely going to live in the moment. And it was really great. It worked out for me. I made good enough friends that, like, it was fine. If I did go again, I would probably get cell service just so, like, now that I look back, there wasn't anything that I was dying super hard to do that I didn't get to do. But there were things that I remember of like, well, I'd like to go do that. And a couple of other people would, but we'd go do something else. And, you know, I'd go with the majority of the group because they had cell service. And then also, it was mostly the contacting to figure out what our plan was for the day was the biggest downfall in not having cell service. So there was joy of missing out there, but then also maybe it would have been smarter to just, you know, pay the $65 and do this. But
I would have been too scared not to have access to different people. Not even just people there, but like just my family, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't even think I texted them that much, but just the idea that I could.
Yeah, that's fair.
I also did text my grandma a lot and was like, this is awful, but I'm having a good time, but this is awful.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. And I felt so bad because I was like, what is wrong with you, Kyra? You are in Europe. Have fun. Enjoy this. And then the other part of me was like, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty.
Yeah,
I think if I were to go do like a semester abroad all by myself or with other people, and I could go at my own pace and do my own thing and find out my own system, I feel like it would be so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just it. I think that's the 2-week programs, they're awesome. It's a whole different experience than the full semester, but it is pretty cutthroat, and you do have to be mentally tough to get through it because it really is just go, go, go. Let's push your body. Let's do all these things that when you're used to being comfortable, you know, and you're uncomfortable in so many different ways in this situation. So many different ways.
So many different ways. I remember when we got to London, I was like, English!
Yeah, for sure.
The signs were in English!
Oh my gosh, I have the funniest story. So when the first day we had arrived in London, I was so used to like not being able to read signs, and I didn't realize how much I just randomly read stuff until I couldn't understand it. And so finally got to London and I'm like, oh, I can read again. This is great. And I can understand people. But anyways, I had went down to the basement of the hostel to talk to the front desk lady about laundry tokens and stuff. And she had given me a whole spiel, but I was so exhausted. I was so used to having to decipher people's, you know, thick accents of different languages. And this person just talks to me in perfect English. And I sit there and look at her. And I was like, wait, what? And she rolled her eyes at me. She rolled her eyes at me and said, do not make me repeat that, especially not for you. And I was like, oh.
Rewind. She did not say that.
She really did. She rolled her eyes. It's like, so Europeans are mean. That's the moral of the story.
They
Europeans
kind of are. Like, some people are not very nice.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, but then when she did that, what she said had clicked in my brain, and I'm like, okay, right, Why
does that happen? Why, like, when people say stuff, you're like, huh? And then they're like, and then you're like, oh, and you get it. You know, your brain takes a minute to process it.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so. So she said to you, "Do not make me repeat myself, especially for you."
Yeah,
or
because I speak English. I understand the language, and so she was like, you're not coming from another country where you speak a different language.
Right.
You should know what I'm saying, but I'm like, all right. But also, the way we speak is different still. Like,
it's
the
true.
annotations and the way we move our mouth.
It's
like,
true.
Listen, it's different, my guy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in Europe says my guy.
Yeah, probably not. That's very much an American and, like, you know.
Yeah. No, I get
young
it.
20-year-old lady.
100%. Yes, 100%. Yeah, it was just stressful and overwhelming. And then, my gosh, our journey from Paris to London, that 6-hour train ride, and then right after we got to London, we immediately went to the hostel.
It was not 6 hours. From Paris to London? Paris to London was only like 1.5 or 2.
What was 6 hours then? Because there was a 6-hour train ride.
I think that one might have been from Prague to Munich.
Are you sure?
I swear it.
Okay, I'll believe you. Okay. My only thing is that I was really tired. We just got off this train. We walked to the hostel. We put it in a closet. And then we immediately went... Well, I think we went down the stairs and had to put it in this thing. Or I remember putting it in this storage room or whatever. And then we immediately went to the British Museum.
Yes.
And I was like... I'm so tired.
That train ride was exhausting because we were all like, oh yeah, we get to take a nap. This is supposed to be a long train ride. And it wasn't because it was only like an hour and a half. I think that's why everyone was exhausted on that one. But
Well, one of them was 6 hours, and I remember being kind of cramped and just being tired, and then immediately when we got there, we were moving again.
you're like, oh no, I want to not move.
Yeah, exactly. I think of the whole trip, I loved Prague.
Yes.
But I also really enjoyed Paris.
Loved Paris.
Loved Paris. First of all, the hostels were nice.
Yeah, and we had to share a room with less people.
Yes.
In that one.
That is true. There were only 4 people instead of 6.
Yep, exactly.
And in addition, there was a yummy bread place, pastry place right by.
That place was so freaking good.
And it was good because I could just buy rolls and I was actually full.
Whenever, yeah.
I was like, let's eat some carbs.
It was great.
I had the best. You're gonna laugh, and that's fine. I had the best cheeseburger I've ever had in my entire life in Paris.
Good for you, girl.
I think it was 18 euros, so it was freaking expensive.
Jeez. Also, isn't it crazy how even though we were in a cool place and there's new cuisines to try and think about, but we still gravitate to what we're used to.
Oh, yeah.
So many people went to McDonald's and
Five Guys.
Yeah, Five Guys. I'm in this cool country, I'm at this nice restaurant, but I'm going to opt for the cheeseburger rather than, a crepe. But
Yep.
Here we are.
Yep. And the thing is that I wanted that familiarity because there were so many unfamiliar things that I was like, I need something that's familiar,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, no, for sure. And I remember that was literally the best cheeseburger I've ever had in my whole life. But then I was still hungry after, so it was just unfortunate. Yeah. But that's okay. It was very good. I remember I took a picture of it. It was that good.
Good for you.
Before I ate it, I was like, I feel like this is going to be good. So, yeah, I definitely gravitated toward things I liked. Mm-hmm. Was it Five Guys or was it a different...
There was Five Guys. I remember having Five Guys in Germany.
And that was freaking expensive, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Munich. Yeah, yes. Very specifically, it was in Munich. I remember that. Because around the corner of Five Guys and towards a hole through Little Maze, we found the place. You were there with us when you guys climbed up to the top and we stayed down below and we bought magnets.
Oh, yep, that's right. Yep.
All I wanted was a magnet from Munich. That's all I wanted.
That's what sucked too, is because I wanted to get souvenirs, shot glasses specifically from Munich, but because we were there over the weekend, and in European culture, it's such a big thing to not have shops open on Saturdays and Sundays. Weekends, the town is basically dead. And we were literally in Munich on Saturday and Sunday, and then we left Monday. So yeah, it was so hard to find any souvenir from Munich, but my whole thing is that I saw a skyline view of every country we were in besides Austria, and that's why I'm upset about not going on the Ferris wheel in Austria, is because I have skyline views of every other place, but with myself, because that day in Munich when we did climb the tower, I told myself, all right, I'm going to climb the tower, and then I'm going to go back to the hostel because I'm dying,
Yeah, so. And that's what we ended up doing. We bought our magnets and then we went back.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So,
But then, oh my gosh, sorry. I just keep remembering things and I keep
getting
so excited. So the one thing that after we got done climbing the tower, it emptied out into a cathedral. And because it was Sunday, they had just got done with Mass, This is probably the most spiritual experience of my entire life.
Your entire life?
My entire life. Because it was just so... So, it was all smoky from, candles being lit and put out and all that good stuff. And the sunlight was shining through the windows and, the benches were there and there were people just there praying. And, you had to be quiet because it says, hey, keep your voice down. Mass is happening, And so we had sat there and we just went and sat on the benches. And they were comfortable benches, but we sat there for 45 minutes just in complete and utter silence.
What?
Feeling the sun on our skin and resting and just
Okay, that actually sounds very nice.
It was very, very peaceful. And I do remember being tired, but I don't remember, you know how you do the head bob.
Oh, I get it.
That wasn't there because I was so awake for that moment of yes, I'm exhausted, yes, I'm tired, but this is real and you are here and you're okay. It was really awesome.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think you're convincing me otherwise. If someone were you want to go back and redo it, my answer wouldn't immediately be no. It might be a few seconds and then a no.
Different experiences. You always cut out from our group right at the good parts, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so...
I was just so tired,
Is
man.
this turning into a fear of missing out?
Hannah, dang you.
I know.
No, I'm still okay. Looking back, I'm still okay. I was so tired.
Yeah, for sure.
I was hungry. I was thirsty. I did the best I could. I really did. And the fact that we had to be at the things with the whole group made it hard.
Yeah.
Because I needed to be alive and awake and ready to go for those things.
Yeah.
And so for things that weren't required, I just was like, it doesn't matter that much, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Definitely looking back, I feel like there are things that I could have done, but also I'm not mad.
I also feel like you're the type of person, though, that, like, because you're you, because you're Kyra and you're pretty eccentric and you're like, I'm tired, like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do in the moment and it's going to be fine. And people are going to hate me or they're not. Like, that's very much you. You are unapologetically yourself and it's great. But I feel like if you would have come to the bottom of the tower with us, you probably straight up would have fallen asleep on those benches.
Oh, absolutely I would have. Absolutely. Yes, I would.
I don't know. But maybe it would have been a good thing for you. It might have been a little disrespectful, but like...
I just couldn't climb those stairs. I remember...
I don't blame you.
It was a mini miracle, though, because you're going to laugh, and that's okay. I prayed. I was like, I really want a magnet from Munich. That's all I want.
Did you get your magnet?
Well, we went to that tower, and they sold magnets.
Yes, that's
that was
right.
the only thing they sold was magnets.
Was magnets.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And then once I got
you.
my magnet, Megan and I went back to Five Guys, we ate some lunch, and then we went home and we took a nap.
Good.
And it was wonderful. Okay, let's talk about church.
Yes.
In Germany.
Yes.
So then we went, or that morning did we go to church, or was it after?
It was that morning.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we went to church before we had gone to the tower.
Yes, and it was cool because obviously it was all in German.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And was it? No, it wasn't. I was like, was it testimony meeting?
It was.
It was
Fast Sunday. Yep.
Okay, yes. It was Fast Sunday, and so people were going up and bearing their testimony, and people were obviously speaking in German, but I remember there's one guy went up, and he spoke, like he would speak in German, then he would speak in English for us. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do.
He was like an older guy. And then we had one of the missionaries. I had one of those things in my ear that I could try to understand.
Yep, me too.
And that poor guy, that poor missionary.
He was translating the English
for us.
He was
trying so hard.
He did really great until someone went up there and started speaking English. Like, there was one testimony that was fully in English.
Well, I think it's because it was one of our guys.
Yeah, probably. It was either one of our guys or that professor that was from BYU who was there studying something.
Yes.
And so he just starts... Hi, I'd like to bear my testimony. Then you hear the missionary over the speaker. Hi, I'd like to bear my testimony. And, like, just repeating
That was
itself.
the funniest thing I've ever...
And we were all sitting there giggling to ourselves.
So funny.
And then the moment where he's like, oh my gosh, it's in English, and just stops talking, we were like... We died.
That was the funniest thing all day for me.
Yeah.
Yes, because someone goes up there and starts speaking English, and he's just copying word for word. And then eventually, like you said, he goes, oh my gosh.
It's like, he's been in the mindset of, like, he's been in Germany so long that he's to the point where, you know, he understands both. He's on missionary mode, you know. Mm-hmm. He's gonna go, do what
It was just so funny. It was so funny. And then... You could tell that, you know, someone told me it is so hard, which I can only imagine, hearing a language and translating it in the moment.
Oh, I know, exactly. Especially since it doesn't translate perfectly. Like, especially German.
Yes.
And there's usually, like, you know, for example, 3 or 4 words in a German sentence where there's probably closer to, like, 8 in an English sentence. It's so much more words for phrases.
Yes.
When in translation.
Yes. And so, yeah, I know that he, like, missed things, but he was trying so hard.
He did a good job.
And I was just appreciative. Yeah, I was very appreciative.
I do remember that in sacrament meeting, there was a point where I just took, like, the translation out. Because I'm like, this is familiar. This is testimony meeting. Okay, going back from, like, the one that we just got done recording.
Right.
We had said that we went to Prague and then Austria and then Munich. I think we... Yeah, no.
I actually changed my mind and just decided not to say anything.
Yeah, sorry. I have to say it for the...
No, please do. No, I think you're right. I think we went to Munich and then Vienna. Yeah.
No. We went to Vienna
That's
first
what I
and then
meant.
Munich.
Sorry.
Yes. No, you're good. Munich was hard for me. I have said that a million times. And that was the point where I'm like you said, the cheeseburger. You needed a little familiarity in your life. And it's something that... This is so funny because I'm an inactive member now. But it was something that was such a testimony builder of like, okay, so this religion and God truly is the same. I am halfway across the world, and this is the same. And even though I don't speak German, I know what these people are saying. They believe the same things that I do. And it was comfort. It was comfort in the madness. And I think that as travelers, especially going at the uncomfortable pace that we were going, we seek that comfort. And that's why so many of us ate at Five Guys or McDonald's or like, you know, did what we needed to do to keep ourselves sane through the midst of the chaos.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
So true. I was going to say, one other thing that I felt so bad about was that we went outside the church to take pictures, and the windows were open.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that.
We were so
and we were
loud,
laughing,
loud
and we were
Americans.
crazy. And then eventually the bishop comes out, and he's like,
guys
"Can I take your picture?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We can hear you." And we were like, "Oh my
We're
gosh."
just talking about all these things.
Yeah,
boy.
we felt so bad. I can only imagine how embarrassed the professors were.
Oh,
the
I
two
know.
that, like, I think...
I think there were a couple that
Yep.
stayed, or maybe all of the professors stayed. I don't know.
There was two of them,
I'm
I
sure
think,
they're
that went and stayed. And I bet they were sitting there like, oh my gosh. Like,
I know.
seriously. I bet they were so embarrassed, which, fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Okay, Hannah, we're running out of time again, but I'm going to give you the last word. Anything you would like to say to listeners?
If you get a chance to go to Europe, no matter like the strenuous circumstances, do it.
Yes. And take care of yourself.
Take
if you
care
need
of
to
yourself.
employ JOMO,
Yes.
you put that into motion.
You need an evening of rest instead of going to the Eiffel Tower. Girl, you get that rest.
That's
Like,
right. Get it.
Stay hydrated.
Yes.
Bring good shoes.
Bring good shoes. Yes,
Because
absolutely.
you're going to be walking literally everywhere.
Yeah, and I would also say take as many pictures as you can.
Yes,
I don't
take all the
regret
pictures.
having as many pictures as I do.
Yeah, same. I look at them all the time. So,
Well, there you go. Hannah, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Kyra, thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate it. Have you gotten used to the little voice in your
Yeah,
head?
it's crazy, but it's nice, actually.
It's nice. It's nice. I don't know why. I enjoy it. And it's not necessarily that I like the sound of my voice. It's just, I don't know. It's fun. It's fancy.
Yeah.
It's like an adult toy. Like, it's kind of fun,
For sure.
you know? Anyway, so thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And for just being my friend. And for being understanding. Because before we recorded this podcast, I, like, complained her ear off. And she's just like, yeah, no, I get it. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you for listening, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to embrace imperfection, find meaning, satisfaction, and joy from the journey. I'm Kyra.
This is Hannah.
And this is Imperfectly Broken, the podcast.
podcast.